What's up, guys? It's Jordan for Laundromat Resource and laundromatresource.com, and I am pumped that you're here today because today we're going to talk about the pros and the cons of owning a laundromat, and we're just going to keep it real today. I'm going to just talk to you from my own experience, from the experience of those that I talk to about owning laundromats and what it's really like, and let's get right into it after the intro. Kick it. All right, let's start with the good stuff. Let's start with the pros of owning a laundromat, and we're going to cut right to it, and we're just going to state the obvious. Everybody's thinking it. There are two main things that make laundromats just amazing investments, and number one is this: they're relatively hands-off. You can run them on the side. They're simple businesses that don't require your presence to be there all the time. That's what attracted me. That's what attracts, I'm sure, a lot of you guys, and that's what attracts a lot of investors to laundromats, is that they are businesses that, they don't require you to be there 24/7 unless that's how you want to operate it. You can operate it that way, but you don't have to. And that's pretty dang attractive. So that's number one. And number two, just keeping it real, they are cash businesses. And that comes with a lot of different perks. Now, old school style of thinking is, hey, cash business, I can pocket some of that on the side, not tell Uncle Sam about that. But that's not how I recommend you run things. You don't need to run things like that. Laundromats can be good enough investments with their cash flow that they do bring in, that you don't have to do that. So don't even do that. Don't even consider it. Just put it out of your mind. You don't need it. Put it out of your mind because there's a lot of other perks. We're going to go over those in a second. But with cash businesses come a lot of other perks besides the shady stuff. And here's a couple of them right here, right off the top of my head is number one, you're not invoicing people. A lot of businesses, they provide a service, they send, an invoice, and then they have to wait to get paid. People are paying upfront with the cash right there. And you don't even have to worry about it. And because you have cash, you can pay your bills. You're not waiting for people to come and pay for your services or your products or anything like that in order for you to pay your bills, because it's there. It's in cash and it's upfront. So you just throw that in the bank and then cut your check to whoever you owe money to. And it's simple, it's clean, it's easy, it's right there. You don't have to worry about credit card transactions unless you have a card store, which more and more people do have card stores. And we'll talk about that in another video because there's some definite perks to having a card store. But most, by and large, are still coin stores. Coinstar's, the place you go to change, right? Yeah. Coin stores. So it's all cash. You don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about checks bouncing. None of that stuff. Cash business, super simple, super easy. Bam. Love it. All right. So hands off, cash business. Those are the obvious things. Those are the things that probably drew you to the business. Those are some of the things that drew me to the business. But let's talk about some of the other perks. Number one, I'm gonna get it sentimental here for a second. Number one is you're actually doing something good for a community. When you provide a laundromat and laundry services to a community, you're doing something good. You're providing a place where people can come and clean their clothes. And, it's an essential business before that was really a thing. So it really is a good thing for the community. And it's also a gathering point for a lot of communities. People come to the laundromats to do their laundry, yes, but also just to kind of come and hang out and see their friends and talk about what's going on in the community, that kind of stuff. So that is definitely a perk of owning a laundromat because, there's just a sense of fulfillment for that, for providing that space and that service and that opportunity for communities to come together. So don't count that out. I know it's not something that puts something in your pocket, but it puts something in your heart, and that counts for something. You know what I mean? Counts for a lot. So don't count that out. All right, here's another perk, and I'm just gonna say it. You don't actually do anything or provide anything when you own a laundromat. If you have a fluff and fold service, yes, or pick up and deliver, yes, you're doing stuff, you're providing stuff. But when you own a laundromat, people are paying you so that they can do their laundry, by and large. That's awesome. That's incredible, actually. So really what they're doing is they're renting out your machine. So it's kind of like a real estate play in that way, but you're not really providing a product and you're not really providing a service, aside from fluff and fold and pick up and delivery. But when you just, the customer that walks into your store to come do their laundry, you're not doing it. And your employees aren't doing it. They're doing it. They're paying you to do their laundry. That's pretty cool. And that keeps things really simple and really clean, really easy for you to manage from afar, from not being there. And because of that, you don't have to have a lot of employees. Yes, you need somebody to kind of watch over things. Yes, you need somebody to clean up the place and keep it clean. Yes, you need somebody to help customers when they need help. Yes, you need somebody to problem solve, but you don't need a ton of people. And managing people is tough. It doesn't matter what business you're in, managing people is tough. And it doesn't get like, when you add employees, it doesn't get, you add one employee and there's like 1 unit of toughness, and you add another employee, it's like 2 units of toughness. No, it starts to grow exponentially the more employees that you add. It's tough to manage employees because you have all these interpersonal stuff happening and you have schedules that you have to coordinate and all this stuff happens. So minimizing the number of employees, huge perk. Again, simple, clean, easy business. No pun intended with the clean. Man, on fire today. There's a ton of perks of owning a laundromat. In fact, I made a whole video about it. I'll put it up here and you can, or here. I'm not sure. It's going to be on one side. Look for the little thing to come across and you'll find it. But there's a ton of perks to owning a laundromat, a lot of pros. And, and in fact, I made this video that I made that's up here is, 10 reasons laundromats could be the best investment that you could make. So check that out if you want to know more of the perks. There's tax benefits I didn't even touch on. You can build equity in your business. I didn't even touch on. The cash flow is incredible. I didn't even touch on that. I don't know why, but those things I call that the wealth tripod, tax benefits, equity, and cash flow. The wealth tripod, you need all 3 of those things to build your wealth. Laundromats have all of them in spades. So man, get on board with laundromats. If you're not convinced yet, I don't know what's going to convince you. So those are some of the pros, but let's keep it real because there are legitimate cons to owning a laundromat. Here's some of them off the top of my head. Number 1 is laundromats tend to attract a certain type of people, not the customers necessarily that I'm talking about. There's the majority by far of customers that I interact with, that most laundromat owners interact with, are great people, and are awesome, but they do legitimately, I keep saying legitimately, I'm sorry, but you're just gonna have to deal with it if you want to know about the stuff. They do attract a certain type of person, and that type of person tends to be, just a little rougher, a little dirtier, a little unsavory. It can attract, laundromats tend to attract a homeless population, which again, these are people. And one of the things I really want to impress on you guys and other laundromat owners too, is that these are people, and it's easy to kind of lose sight of that when they are vandalizing your business or they're driving away customers because they smell like urine. That really happens semi-often when, with homeless people, unfortunately. And it's just sad. And it's it's easy to kind of shut that off sometimes and say, hey, get out of my business. You're whatever, and treat them poorly, but they're people. But it's a legitimate issue that you have to deal with. And it's tough to really balance. How do you have that compassion for humanity and also keep up your business, make it a place where customers want to come, clean their clothes, gather together? It's a tough balance. And that's definitely a con that I have seen. It can be a pro though, because again, you can be doing something good for other people. So tough balance, but can be a con. We'll throw it in the con category. Just a tougher population that tends to be attracted to laundromats. So that's definitely a con. Here's another con is it's tough. I don't really hear anybody talking about this, but it can be tough to get away for extended periods of time. So if you love to travel, you really have to make good arrangements in order to be able to get away for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks or more. So if that's something that you love to do, you really need to think through that before you get into laundromats. Not saying you can't do it. I've done it. but it's tough to do because somebody has to be looking out for your laundromat for you. And it's got to be somebody that you trust, especially if you have a coin store and they're going to be collecting cash. It can be real easy for someone else to skim off the top without you knowing. And so you really got to be wary of that. So that can be tough. And that's a big con for a lot of people, because that means at least once a week, you have got to be in your store and collecting coins, making sure things are running okay. You want your machines to be working. You want, to make sure your employees are showing up, to make sure that they're doing their job. And that doesn't just happen on its own. So when you plan on going away, you got to make arrangements and you got to have somebody you can trust. So that's a big deal. So that's definitely one of the cons. Here's another one that I just am thinking about right now is that those bills pile up high and they pile up fast. I used to pay my water bill. It'd be like $50, $75. And I'd be like, oh my gosh, $100 this month for water. That's crazy. That's a drop in the bucket. No pun intended. Again, I'm on fire today. A drop in the bucket compared to the bills that you get when you own a business like a laundromat. Your utility bills can be sky high. I mean, we're talking hundreds of dollars, and it can be disheartening. Now, obviously, your business should be able to support that, and you should be bringing in plenty of money to be able to pay those bills. But man, you talk about rent, you talk about your utilities, you talk about, paying your employees, and all of a sudden, man, the money going out, it's a little bit scary, especially if you've never done it before. So just keep that in mind. That can be a con, especially if you're new getting into it. It can just feel very overwhelming and very scary to be sending that much money out every single month. Now, again, your business should be covering all that, but still, it can be a little bit scary. So that's definitely a con. Now, most of these pros and cons have to do with the fact that number one, laundromats are business. And number two, laundromats deal with people, and businesses are complex. Now, I know a lot of people want to believe that laundromats are, you own them and you come once or twice a week, you collect quarters and that's it. But because they're businesses and not passive investments, they are very hands-off. If you set them up correctly, they can be that, but they're not hands-off completely. They're not passive investments. And because you're dealing with people, that just interjects a lot of complexity and a lot of issues that come up of various kinds. You still have to maintain your business. You still have to, run it like a business. And you still have to interact with people. And if you've ever worked in customer service or retail or in a restaurant industry or fast food or anything like that, then as soon as you introduce a customer to your business, things can just get crazy on you real fast. People I don't know, man, they lose their heads sometimes. So that is definitely something just to be aware of. It is a business. It's not a passive investment. It can be, incredibly hands-off, especially when compared to other businesses. It can definitely be that, but it still is a business and needs to be run like a business. And you are still dealing with people. Check out that little link up here that popped up. If you want to hear more of the pros, more of the reasons that I think that you should consider getting into the laundromat industry, because there's a ton of great reasons for it. So check that video out. Okay, but if you're someone who is considering getting into the laundromat industry, you might want to buy a laundromat, or even if you own a laundromat, I want to encourage you. I have a video that I'm going to put right up here, and it'll be on the very end, the end screen, that you have to check out. And it's going to tell you how to look at a laundromat, whether you are going to be buying it or whether you already own it. It's going to tell you how to look at it and look for ways to interject more value into it. That means more cash flow going into your pocket and more savings that's not going out of your pocket, just like we talked about in this video. So you have to watch that video. Make sure you click on it and watch it. And if you haven't yet, man, subscribe and give this video a like, because my goal is to help you find financial freedom with laundromats. And I'm trying to do that every week in these videos. And also we have a podcast that I'm posting here on YouTube, but go subscribe to the podcast also and hear from other laundromat owners who are just bringing crazy amounts of wisdom. Don't learn these lessons on your own. Check them out. So anyways, check out that last video. It's a must watch in my opinion, because it's going to put literally thousands of dollars in your pocket. So watch that video. It's not super long. Go check it out and make sure you subscribe. All right, guys. Thank you. Again, this is Jordan from Laundromat Resource, and we'll see you next week in the next video. Peace.